More on all these late-breaking developments. Congressman Eric Swalwell is joining us. He's a Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. He took part in today's hearing. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
Were you satisfied with Director Comey's testimony?
I was satisfied. For a long time, we have been connecting dots between Donald Trump and his team and their personal, political, and financial ties to Russia. And the lingering question has been, did those ties extend to working with Russia as they were attacking us? And the director, as you reported, told us that under extraordinary circumstances, he was reading in the American people into an active investigation, which was quite stunning to hear, but I think important for the American people to know that we are looking at whether his team was working with Russia as this historic and unprecedented interference campaign was being run by Russia.
Let me play an exchange, at least the clip of an exchange you had with the FBI director. Listen to this.
Would it be safe to assume that if a prominent person was doing something they shouldn't have been doing while they're in Russia, the Russians probably saw it?
Yeah, I would stick to what I said before about prominent people should assume.
Mr. Director, was Donald Trump under investigation during the campaign?
Same answer as before. I'm not going to answer that.
Is he under investigation now?
I'm not going to answer that. Please don't overinterpret what I've said. As the chair and ranking know, we have briefed them in great detail on the subjects of the investigation and what we're doing, but I'm not going to answer about anybody in this forum.
Congressman, do you believe Director Comey was forthcoming enough? Did he answer the questions you wanted answered?
He did. He confirmed that an investigation is underway. I don't want him to disclose anything that would compromise an investigation, but I do want to ask the questions that my constituents at home are asking. And so hopefully the investigation proceeds, they follow the evidence. And Wolf, if this is merely 1,000 coincidences, then it's in the president's interest and our country's interest that he's cleared. But if this is a convergence of political, personal, and financial ties with Russia's interference, then people need to be held accountable.
You've been connecting the dots in your words, but what if the FBI director says those dots don't add up to collusion between President Trump's campaign, his campaign associates, and the Russians? What if there is no hard evidence? Where do we go from there?
Well, Wolf, he's our president, and the question that Americans are asking is, was he or anyone on his team involved with Russia? This is not about what is proved in a court of law under a reasonable doubt standard. And so sometimes, as a former prosecutor, I know that what happened and what you can prove in court sometimes is different, meaning that if you have to drag Russian witnesses over to the United States to prove a fact, that may make it difficult to prove in court, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. And the American people should know if their president or anyone on his team was working with Russia as they were interfering in our elections.
When you're talking, Congressman, about Russian witnesses being dragged over here to testify, who are you talking? What are you talking about, and who are you talking about?
Well, sure. So we know that, for example, Carter Page, 1 month after it was revealed that Russia was attacking us, went over to Russia as the senior foreign policy advisor for the Trump campaign with permission from the Trump campaign. Now, if he met with someone over in Russia and that comes up in an investigation, it would probably be pretty hard to bring that Russian over to the United States. So proving that they were working together under a reasonable doubt standard and a criminal prosecution may be difficult. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't know the evidence that exists to show that Carter Page was working with the Russians if that was what was happening, for example.
Are you willing to subpoena the president to testify?
I think we need to subpoena all relevant witnesses, from the president to his family, to his security team, to Manafort, Page, Stone, Flynn. The American people saw our democracy attacked. Right now it's time for Republicans and Democrats to unite and say this democracy belongs to us, and we're going to get to the bottom of why we were attacked, who was responsible, and tell the American people we're never going to let this happen again, because, Wolf, this is a mess.
If the Russian President Vladimir Putin's goal is to sow chaos within the United States,
it's worked.
Do you worry this kind of questioning so publicly actually accomplished that goal, and what are the ramifications?
Yeah, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, Wolf, and certainly Russia has achieved its goal in that sense. But the goal that I do not want to see Russia achieve is a dramatic change in U.S. policy towards Russia. And so actually, I'm asking the president, and I think the American people do not want to see any policy changes toward Russia until this is resolved, because there are too many questions about prior relationships and whether there's any quid pro quo going on.
Congressman Swalwell, I want you to stand by. We have more questions.
Thanks,
we're getting more information. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. From today's Intel hearing, here's the question. Would you respond to that? Are you going to call him to testify?
Well, he actually wrote me in the middle of the night last night, Wolf, on Twitter, and called me some names that I can't repeat on CNN. So Roger Stone loved to go to Twitter during the 2016 election, and he was previewing the attacks that were coming from the Russians, saying that John Podesta was going to have his day in the barrel long before the Russians were able to put out through Guccifer 2.0 the Podesta emails. So we certainly want to hear from Roger Stone as well.
Will your committee call back the FBI director for more questioning, you think?
Yes, I think we should call him back if he has new information for us, but we should also hear from other relevant witnesses. No investigation would be complete if we didn't hear from other witnesses. And also, Wolf, I think more than ever, we need to see the president's tax returns. There are too many financial interests that the president has, and the FBI director himself said today that foreign adversaries use financial distress as a way to recruit and develop people that they want to try and influence.
How are you going to get those tax returns?
We can subpoena them, and I hope that our Republican colleagues join us in that effort.
Well, your Republican colleagues during the hearing, including the chairman, Devin Nunes, they pressed FBI Director Comey on how Michael Flynn, the fired national security advisor at the White House, was unmasked, referring to now public calls that he had with the Russian ambassador to the United States. Do these Republicans have a legitimate concern?
If their takeaway was that we need to focus more on leaks rather than Russia attacking us, then they have learned the wrong lesson from today's hearing.
Well, what about focusing on both the Russian involvement, but also leaks, illegal leaks by individuals in the government?
Yes, and that's the Department of Justice's job. But as Director Comey even said today, we don't know where the leaks are coming from. They also could be coming from the White House. But this is an opportunity, Wolf, for Republicans and Democrats to now unite. Our country was attacked. Russia was responsible. We have a president whose campaign had deep ties to Russia. Going forward, we never want to be in this position again. So I think having an independent commission as well as the investigation we're doing on the Intelligence Committee is the best way to make sure that happens.
But let me just be precise. You want a criminal investigation of the leaks, right?
Yes, of course.
All right, let's talk about another issue that came up today, unrelated. CNN has learned that large electronics have now been banned from airplane cabins on some Middle Eastern and African flights to the United States. Is this based on a credible threat? What are you hearing?
I can't confirm or deny one way or the other, Wolf. What I can say about aviation safety is that we have long known that our adversaries, especially terrorist groups across the country, would love to bring down a U.S. airliner or an airliner of one of our allies. So we have to do everything we can to make sure passengers internationally and in the United States are safe.
Can you tell us what terror group may be behind this specific threat?
I can't say anything about this threat, Wolf.
CNN has been told it will impact, what, about a dozen airlines flying nonstop into the United States. You know how long this could take place?
I don't, Wolf.
But it's a serious issue that you've been briefed on it, but you can't reveal information because of the classified nature of that.
I can't say yes or no to that either. I can just say that Al-Qaeda has long put out a cookbook of how to make a bomb, how to bring that on an airplane. And so, we're long concerned about different terrorist groups and their intentions to bring down U.S. airliners.
Significant new development. All right, Congressman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Eric Swalwell joining us, Congressman from California. Just ahead, the political fallout for President Trump as the FBI director goes public with his investigation of Vladimir Putin's attempts to influence the U.S. presidential election.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he